His Excellency, Mr. Labaran Maku, former Minister of Information, a one-time gubernatorial candidate in Nasarawa State, an able and fierce contender for that seat. The immediate past Chief of Staff to the government of Adamawa State, and now the Pro-Chancellor, Adamawa State University, Professor Maxwell Gidado, S-A-N-O-O-N. Permit me to do the other protocols without necessarily following a particular order. I will just do them the way they are written to me. But let me first honor my Lord, the Honorable Justice Hakila Heman, former Chief Judge of Gombe State and Life Bencher. My Lord, we welcome and honor you. Let me also honor other distinguished Nigerians that are here. Some of them may not have seen, but have been given your names. The former Secretary to the Adamawa State Government, Mr. Ibrahim Walie, former Secretary to Adamawa State Government, and now Honorable Member representing the good people of Guyuk, Shelang Federal Constituency, the Honorable Kobis Ari Timnu. I apologize about that. That's the funny thing about using technology. Somebody is calling the phone with which I was establishing my protocol. Let me honor the chairman of the local organizing committee that has been working tirelessly to put everything together, and particularly this tribute and commendation night, Chief Barrister Leonard Zadon Bencher. Let me honor Chief Prince Medan Foa MNI, elder statesman and member of the LOC. I am told seated among us, and I'll call the names accordingly as they are given to me. The distinguished Senator Ishaku Abo, Prince Labiga Ibrahim Ajis Abuja, Professor Jimjel Zalkumi, I hope that is correct, I beg your pardon, Adamawa State University, Mrs. Gloria Okeriafo, Dr. Mrs. Justina A., Mrs. Luasom Morrison Lambert, Mrs. Angelina A. Garba, Chief, all right, I'd called that earlier, Honorable Paul Samuel, Honorable Kefas Calvin, the Honorable Member representing the good people of Tongo. And let me, by that extension, just mention that all honorable members of the Adamawa State House of Assembly here seated, and past honorable members of the Adamawa State House of Assembly here seated. Let me acknowledge Honorable Chief Honorable Felix B. Tangomi, Honorable Commissioner Health and Human Services, by extension, all honorable members, honorable commissioners, Adamawa State Government that are here seated, members of the State Cabinet, members of the Senator Jonathan Silas Zwingina's family, friends and well-wishers, members of the Lunguta Development Association community, everyone, sons and daughters of Adamawa State that are all gathered in this hall tonight, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you. We are gathered here tonight. We gathered not to sorrow or to be in sorrow, but we're gathered in gratitude to honor a life of a distinguished Nigerian leader. His enduring legacy of leadership, a man who has left an indelible mark on our hearts, our community, the state, and the nation at large. We're here together in a moment of deep reflection and unity for a life that was lived with purpose, conviction, and unyielding commitment to the betterment of our society. Tonight is a night of tributes and commendation, a night of honor for a leader whose influence transcended politics, whose vision shaped futures, and whose spirit of service touched countless lives. My name is Leader Leneke, and I'm honored to stand here and to anchor tonight's tribute and commendation night. I thank you all for coming. I have just been informed that shortly His Excellency will be joining with us. We will announce the arrival of His Excellency as soon as he joins us. His Excellency, the Governor of Adamawa State. And meanwhile, let me seize this opportunity and this honor to welcome the chairman of tonight's event to come as he brings the chairman's remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, an elder statesman, a father indeed, a distinguished Nigerian, former head of service, the civil service of Adamawa State, member of the National Institute, officer of the Order of the Niger, Engineer Benson D. Jelani. Please put your hands together for him.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Adamawa State, ordinarily, I wish I could go through the protocol, but that I won't attempt. Fortunately, the MC has done excellently in going through the protocol. And I will now plead that I stand by the already established protocol. I believe seated down here are immediate families of late distinguished Senator J.S Zwingina, his friends, his colleagues, and as we are all aware, this is a solemn occasion. It's a solemn occasion. So to begin with, on behalf of the local organizing committee, I wish to convey my heartfelt condolences to the immediate families of distinguished Senator J.S Zwingina, his friends, his colleagues, and all invited guests here. I want to talk briefly about the inevitables. In life, there are things that are inevitable. And what we are here to commemorate is death. And death happens to be one of those inevitable things. Inevitable in the sense that that is something that must happen. Those of us here have to thank God Almighty because we have not tasted this inevitable. But then I want us to take note that all of us here are waiting to accept these life's inevitables, which is death. For the members of the family, the great friends that are here, I believe you'll agree with me that most of the inevitables, especially the one we are here, is to remember this inevitable, which is death. Unfortunately, when it comes, there is nothing we can do about it. And that is why it is inevitable. So for the members of the close relatives of the late distinguished Senator Jonathan J.S Zwingina, please take this with fortitude. And I also make mention of some of the things in life that we cannot change. There are certain things in life, and it happens that there are some that are inevitable that we cannot change. And my advice this evening is, as we live our lives from day to day, let us learn to accept those things that we cannot change. We should accept those things that we cannot change. Incidentally, what our brother has gone through happens to be those that we cannot change. So for the family, friends, and so on that we are here, please learn to accept those things that we cannot change. Accept those things that we cannot change. Let me also remind us that accepting those things that we cannot change are not always easy. And I will remind us, I believe all of us here belong to one religion or the other, which means now that we accept the fact that God Almighty is a great teacher. God Almighty is the great teacher. And in conclusion, I want us to take this as a takeaway. May the God Almighty teach us how to accept the things that we cannot change, which what our brother has gone through is one of them. Let us ask God Almighty to teach us how to accept those things that we cannot change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Our father, Engineer Benson D. Jelani. Let me honor Ambassador Dr. Hafsat Ibrahim Modibo, representative of Adamawa Community Association, Abuja, I am told, and Hajia Hawa Ismail from Mau, Modibo Adamawa University. I will make a solemn plea to ask all the people who will be coming forward later on to make their tributes and commendation. I will beg you. The life of distinguished Senator Jonathan Silas Zwingina is one that even if we give you the whole of today, you will never be able to exhaust. try as much as possible to abridge whatever it is you want to come and say. We might be constrained to have to give time as you come up, so we are able to keep to the timing that this program was supposed and meant to be. Let me honor very respectfully and most humbly the widow of the distinguished Senator, Chief Mrs. Christy Zwingina in particular. Please put your hands together for her. Ma, we honor you. We honor you. In a short while, not too long, there will be a video tribute that's already been prepared for this occasion. The video tribute will be played while we still await His Excellency's arrival. Let me now ask the people in the control room to please kindly go ahead with the biography video tribute of the distinguished senator.
Senator Dr. Jonathan Silas Zwingina was born on August 1st, 1954 at Falu, a rural community in Kuyuk local government area of Adamawa State, Nigeria.
Brothers, sisters, ladies, and gentlemen, I'd like to thank the Almighty God
Meanwhile, we were supposed to go straight to the tributes immediately after the video biography. While they try to sort that out and get back with us, let me open the room for tributes. And I've been asked that the first tribute that should come, and I believe that is right, that there is no other that is most suitable and most qualified to be the one to kickstart this tribute night than the man who somehow sits on that seat, like I did mention earlier, where His Excellency, the late distinguished Senator Jonathan Silas Zwingina sat. Ladies and gentlemen, the distinguished senator representing the good people of Adamawa Southern Senatorial District, distinguished Senator Binos Dauda Yero. Please put your hands together for him as he joins me on the stage. Thank you, sir.
His Excellency, the Governor of Adamawa State, Right Honorable Ahmad Umar Fintiri, CON, well represented by the Chief of Staff to the Government House, Dr. Chief Edgar Amos Sunday, Chairman of this occasion, members present and past of the National Assembly, the family of Senator Jonathan Sales Zwingina. Let me also do like the chairman and beg to stand on the protocols already established. My dear brothers and sisters, we had this kind of occasion in Abuja where I had the privilege to speak. Today I'm here not just on my personal capacity, but also as a member of the official delegation of the Senate to this event. I'm therefore speaking on behalf of the Senate and the National Assembly as a whole to bring the condolences of the Senate President and the Senators, the Speaker, House of Representatives, and the members of the House of Representatives, and say that Zwingina has established a standard that all of us are just trying to copy. Personally, I would say the shoes are so huge that I'm finding it very difficult to fit my feet in them. But like I told them in Abuja, many people may not know. And I'll repeat it here because a lot of the people here were not in Abuja. Zwingina and myself, together with another friend, met for the first time in April 1974 in Jos, on our way to Zaria to attend the SBS entrance examination. The other friend is Professor Isa Oliver Bongotons, who just retired after attaining the age of 70 in ABU. So we have come a long way. After the interview in Zaria, we parted ways. I went to Kaduna, where I was schooling. He went to Bauchi. Isa returned to Numan, where he was a student in Bronu Secondary School. Professor Zwingina was a student in GSS Bauchi. I was in Government College Kaduna. We didn't meet again until 1978, after we graduated and were posted to Anambra State for the NYSC. I might add, along with architect Lawrence Mbale, we met there. And after the service in 1979, we went our different ways. I went to Kano, he came to Gongola. But then 1 year later, I also returned home to Gongola and joined the College of Preliminary Studies, CPS, where he was lecturing. So that relationship was renewed, and I'm sure many people that are either former lecturers or students of CPS may remember that during the military government of Colonel Yohana Madaki, that Zwingina initiated a think tank group in CPS that was advising the governor. And I would say that out of that, a lot of things happened. For example, during the Constitutional Conference, 2 lecturers from CPS were elected in their various local governments to represent their local governments in Abuja at the conference. One, I think both of them are late. One is Ayuba Wodiri, and the other was Harrison Megoro. So, what Zwingina, what many people have come to associate with Zwingina is something that has been there right from the beginning. He has shown leadership right from secondary school. I understand that in 1974, when he passed out of J.S Zwingina, that he collected all the subject prizes of that school that year. I don't know, but it is common knowledge. Me, I took only one prize. So that's to tell you. So that leadership and that, intellectualism that we see today has been there right from the beginning. And at CPS, he also initiated the formation of the Senior Staff Association that comprised both academic and non-academic staff. In other institutions, you have academic staff who will have their own separate, you have non-academic staff, you have their own separate, junior staff. He brought us all together. And he even led the initiative to construct what you now know as CPS Club was constructed under his presidency, because after the association was formed, he was the first president. I cannot remember, I think I lost the election to treasurer by 1 vote. But that is Zwingina. And that is the person that today we are celebrating his life. He has set standards for us to emulate. Those that are pretending that we are politicians, those that are looking forward to becoming politicians, we have something to learn from the life and times of Professor Zwingina. I convey my condolences not only to the family, but to the people and government of Adamawa State, to the Nungria nation, to all of us. And I thank all of you for finding time to come here to honor him. God will also honor you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator. And thank you indeed for the prayer coming to honor the lives and times of the distinguished Senator Jonathan Silas Zwingina, and for coming, God will honor you. Thank you indeed, sir. At this point, without further ado, let me also hasten and welcome the next tribute. And this will be coming from a man who once became the face of the government of the day. He was somebody you always just get to know because he was constantly and consistently in your face through the channels of media. He was a man who did what he did with great distinction. Distinguished Mr. Labaran Maku, former Minister of Information of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a distinguished and eloquent Nigerian. Please put your hands together for him as he brings his tribute.
The representative of His Excellency, the Executive Governor, distinguished elders and leaders of Adamawa State, the family of our departed uncle, brother, and leader, other Nigerians that have come from all over to Yola for this occasion, my colleagues, reporters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I was not expecting to say anything again in Yola after the tribute in Abuja where we spoke extensively on the life and times of Senator Dr. Jonathan Silas Zwingina. I knew Zwingina in my active journalism days. As you may know, I am from Nasarawa State. I am by far the junior to Senator Zwingina. I don't know his early life. But once we met, we clicked, and I found him worthy of a mentor, worthy of somebody I could learn from, and I've learned extensively from him. As you know, just like his own senator has just spoken, I came to know that he was a man of deep intellectual gifts. And I like to sit with people that I will learn from. I understood from one of his classmates, who was former ambassador to Ukraine, who could have been here also, that when they finished from J.S Bauchi, Jonathan Zwingina had the best WAEC result in the entire Northeast region in his time. You could see he was a first-class brain from the beginning. Then he ended up in Nigeria's premier university, University of Ibadan. When the tributes were being given in Abuja, another classmate of his, presently the chairman of Nigerian Ports Authority, Senator Dayo Adeyeye, he confessed that when they met in class in 1974 in Ibadan, within a few months, Zwingina stood out from all those in the class. He was very far ahead of them. And when they finished, he made it by Commonwealth Scholarship to Australia, where he did his PhD. He is your son. You know the services he has rendered to the people of Adamawa State. Not only as director of MAMSA in this state, but commissioner twice in Adamawa State. One of the governors that appointed him, one military administrator, told us in Abuja that when Senator Zwingina was appointed commissioner, before long, he described him as his internet and Google, because anything he wanted to find out, Zwingina had ready answers, both in terms of policy, in terms of advice, in terms of administration. His forays into politics announced him to the Nigerian nation. First, as DG of Falaye's presidential campaign in 1991. I was the political editor of Champion newspapers in Lagos. And when Falaye, former secretary to the government of Federation, long predecessor to our leader, Boss Mustafa, Falaye appointed him. He distinguished himself because of his depth of intellectual knowledge and understanding of Nigeria. And so when the military administration terminated and sacked the first set of those who contested, the late Chief Abiola now came into the fray and was looking for somebody who could coordinate his campaign. Lo and behold, late Chief Falaye took him to Abiola and said, look, you say you always appreciate my campaign. This is the man behind the success of what I was doing. And he got appointed as the Director General of the famous historic June 12th election in Nigeria. We were together with him in Lagos at that time. He designed that election. He connected Abiola to all the principalities and communities of Nigeria. And before you knew what was happening, Chief Abiola overtook all his opponents in that election. Not because of his money. As you know, money doesn't win election in Nigeria. Money alone does not. A lot of people who have run Nigeria are not people who have money. But it was because of the intellectual depth, the connectivity, and capacity of Senator Zwingina that was able to connect to the rest of the country and beat late Bashir Tofa in his own home state of Kano. That is the depth, the grace, and the prowess that our late leader had. In the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, quickly, because he was also a broadcaster here, he was in the Gongola Broadcasting Corporation. So he started also contributed as a journalist. So when he went to the Senate, the entire Senate quickly appointed him as their spokesperson. And for those of you who are watching the television, after every day of session, when Senator Zwingina appeared on television to give Nigerians a rendition of what was happening in the Senate, you would just don't want to allow him finish speaking. He sold the National Assembly, brought the image and capacity of the National Assembly up in the early part of this democracy. Every senator that heard of Zwingina's death was in his residence. For the past 2 weeks, virtually all his colleagues from 1999 beyond, they all gathered in his residence, tasked themselves, call each other, contribute to this success. There was nothing they didn't do. And every of their testimonies before us in Abuja and to the nation was that Zwingina affected them deeply. Zwingina was behind the success of the National Assembly. That's the kind of person that we are celebrating today. I'm not saying we're money that we're celebrating today. Now, I've said something in Abuja. That this nation, particularly Adamawa, is very blessed. Adamawa State is a blessed state. You have had icons beyond Zwingina. You have produced leaders for this nation. People that have stood their ground in the military, in the civil service, in the academic community, and in politics. Adamawa is a special state. One of my colleagues, Idi Hong, was sharing with me that the Zwinginas are so many here. All communities, Professor Abubakar, Amino, Zwingina, Boss, Mustafa, you can't count them from Adamawa State. He said this state has been so lucky to produce such great leaders. And he was wondering, what was it? And I told him, I'm not surprised because Adamawa is the home of diversity in Nigeria. Every culture, every language, every tribe has something unique to contribute to the world. And in most diverse societies, that is what you have. The unfortunate thing with our history is that rather than manage our diversity and bring the best out of every community to give our nation leadership, we use the diversity to fight each other, to destroy people who should lead, to cause confusion. I ask myself, if Zwingina is so treasured all over the nation, just imagine that his forays to be governor of this state in 2007 succeeded. Imagine that man as governor of this state. All the brainwaves, all the capacity he has demonstrated, and a lot of things hasn't been done, would have been brought to bear on the development and progress of Adamawa people. That didn't take place. I find that in this nation, it is becoming extremely difficult for good people to lead. Very, very difficult. It's like when you are good, you are suspected. Societies are looking for people with capacity to lead them. You want to go to England. You want to go to America. You want to build houses in Dubai. It is people with brains that develop those countries. They bring out their best to provide leadership. They don't think about tribe. They don't think about religion. They don't think about anything. They think about who will solve the problems of our nations. That is why you could see Obama from all the way in Kenya ending up as the president of the United States. That is why you can see Kamala Harris now trying also to be president from another nation. Here in Nigeria, rather than us celebrating our best, coming together as people of God to encourage talent to develop our country, what we see is frustration and frustration, infighting, backbiting, and then the nation continues to suffer. Not because we don't have people who can lead it, but because it's so difficult now for people who can lead it to make it in our polity. I pray in my heart that the other surviving Zwinginas among the youth, among our women, among our children who are making it in life will not end up this way. They will be given the opportunity to express themselves and bring their talent and capacity to bear on the development of our nation. No nation can go beyond the capacity of its leaders. It's not possible. There is no nation, whether you are talking of America or India or China or Britain. It's leaders that brought them up. Washington, Jefferson, Adams, count them. They put their nation before them. Leadership is not a simple thing. Nehru, Gandhi in India, they have set a foundation for their country. And leaders upon leaders and layers of leaders not dropping the ball, but working hard to ensure that they keep a higher standard for their nations. That is why they are where they are. And this nation, Nigeria, with so many Zwinginas in all our communities in all the 36 states, we have that capacity to lead the world. If only we celebrate each other, accept each other while we are still alive. Not speak greatly after that talent has been lost. We are here to celebrate him. He has done his best. I've told his children, you have a father that has carved a path for you. What you need is harder work than he did, greater capacity to learn than he did, then accepting God and working closely with God and doing your best. Then you will see that more and more capacity will come, not only out of the Zwingina family, but out of the great people of Adamawa State. Thank you for this evening. Amen. The Lord bless his soul.
Thank you, sir. Please let's put our hands together again for His Excellency Labaran Maku, former Minister of Information. We've been battling with technical problems from the control room, but we are done. So please sit back and watch the video biography of the man we are here to celebrate this evening. Once again, you're welcome. Please sit and relax. Thank you.
Senator Dr. Jonathan Silas Zwingina was born on August 1st, 1954 at Falu, a rural community in Kuyuk local government area of Adamawa State, Nigeria.
Brothers, sisters, ladies, and gentlemen, I'd like to thank the Almighty God and to thank all of you here for this day, which is a very special day, not only in my life, but also in your own lives in various ways as they touch our journey together through this.
Zwingina dedicated his childhood to his education while growing up in this agrarian environment, during which time he attended junior primary school at Ungwalura and senior primary school in Guyuk town. After his primary education, he proceeded to the government secondary school Bauchi and ultimately gained admission to King's College, Lagos. While at the famous King's College, the young Jonathan obtained his higher school certificate, HSC. However, Zwingina was granted admission to Nigeria's premier university college, Ibadan, where he completed his Bachelor of Science degree in Political Science in 1978. He returned to Ibadan for his master's degree in Political Science, which he completed in 1981. Senator Jonathan Zwingina was married to Mrs. Christy Zwingina. He is blessed with 7 children, 4 from a previous marriage to Mrs. Laraba Daniel Zwingina. Jonathan Zwingina instilled in all his children the tradition of hard work, dedication to learning, having strong Christian values, sound character, and devotion to God. Throughout his life, his children remained united and served as a source of honor, pride, and pleasure for him. Senator Jonathan Silas Zwingina had a diverse professional career beginning in 1979 when he joined the Gongola Broadcasting Corporation as a current affairs producer in what is now Adamawa State, following the completion of his academic studies. His transition into the academia as a lecturer at the College of Preliminary Studies and remained there until 1983, where he taught politics and general studies. He transitioned into the academia as a lecturer at the College of Preliminary Studies and remained there until 1983, where he taught politics and general studies. While employed at the College of Preliminary Studies, he submitted an application for a Commonwealth Scholarship, which resulted in his admission into the PhD program at the prestigious Flinders University of South Australia. He completed his doctorate degree in 1987, which was a significant milestone in his academic career. He served on boards among which are the following: A. Gongola Broadcasting Corporation, 1987 to 1989. B. Gongola Television Corporation, 1987 to 1989. C. Gongola Press Limited, 1987 to 1989. D. Gongola Agency for Mass Education, 1988 to 1990. Senator Jonathan Zwingina's political career commenced with his appointment as Director of the Mass Mobilization for Social Justice and Economic Recovery, MAMSA, in 1987 during the administration of General Ibrahim Babangida. He served as State Director of the agency in the now defunct Gongola State. He was later transferred to Plateau State, where he led MAMSA as State Director in 1991. In 1992, he transitioned to active politics and joined the defunct Social Democratic Party and played active roles in the politics during President Babangida's transition to civil rule program. As a result of his deep theoretical and practical understanding of politics and his active involvement in deep knowledge of Nigerian political terrain, he was appointed as the Director General of Hope 93 Presidential Campaign Organization of Chief MKO Abiola. At the onset of the current political dispensation, Senator Jonathan Zwingina became a founding member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and in 1999 was elected into the Nigerian Senate, representing Adamawa South Senatorial District. He was re-elected in 2003 and became the Deputy Major Speaker in the Senate, a position he held until 2007. Until his passing, Senator Zwingina was the chairman of IEI Pensions Limited, a pension fund administrator in the corporate sector. In his capacity, he was responsible for the supervision and administration of pension funds for thousands of Nigerian workers. Furthermore, as chairman of the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, he was at the vanguard of efforts to provide dependable electricity to rural communities in Nigeria, thereby contributing to national development and improving the quality of life in underserved areas. Throughout his very impactful and eventful life, he built bridges of trust and alliances across the vanguard of efforts to provide dependable electricity to rural communities in Nigeria, thereby contributing to national development and improving the quality of life in underserved areas. Throughout his very impactful and eventful life, he built bridges of trust and alliances across regional, religious, and ethnic political divides. He was easy to work with and remained humble and accessible to all social groups and cultures, with friends and associates all over Nigeria, Africa, and around the world. His vision for Nigeria was for our nation to remain big, united, and a progressive country that should provide leadership and direction for Africa and the people of African heritage all over the world. His political life was fueled by his profound sense of service to his family, community, and the nation. He is survived by his 7 children and 7 grandchildren, a sibling, and numerous relations, friends, as well as the wider community he touched throughout his life. His legacy and memory will endure for years to come in the hearts of those who knew and worked with him. He has left an indelible mark in the lives he touched and the causes he championed throughout Nigeria. Adieu, Dr. Jonathan Silas Zwingina. a great Nigeria, an African intellectual, and political patriot. Rest in peace with the saints in glory as your legacy lives on in the hearts of millions.
I wish you God's blessings, and I'm sorry if along the journey I stepped on somebody's toes, I wrongly or willfully or inadvertently or out of error said something, done something, touched somebody in a manner that was offensive. Please do forgive me. As for me and those who have offended me, and many of you are here, I've forgiven all of you. No offense. Journey of life must include such offenses and forgiveness. Thank you, and God bless you.
You could almost feel the presence of distinguished Senator Jonathan Silas Zwingina live with us here. Thank you, and thank you very much. We will continue with the tributes and commendations. And right now, let me, on behalf of the friends, bosom friends, dear friends of the distinguished Senator Jonathan Silas Zwingina, invite a man who is able to speak to us as a friend indeed. My Lord, the Honorable Justice Akila Heman, CON, former Chief Judge of Gombe State, a life bencher, a jurist par excellence, a man who served as Chief Judge of Gombe for over 2 decades. Very uncommon to find before his retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, my Lord, the Honorable Justice Akila Heman. Thank you, sir.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Adamawa State, ably represented here, the chairman of this occasion, our distinguished senator, past and present members of the National Assembly here present. Let me stand by the existing protocols, except to say I have not had the presence of the President of the Baptist Convention acknowledged here. He is here with his wife. You're welcome, sir. Senator Jonathan Silas Zwingina has been a very, very dear friend to me. The journey started sometime in 1970 when students of JSS Bauchi, the Man Owa, he was a member of the Man Owa of the school, they came to Kaltungo with a view to go for an expedition on the Killer Mountain in Kaltungo, and they branched into our school. And I saw among the students that came somebody having Lunguda facial marks, and I happened to be Lunguda. I asked, who is this man? That was where our journey started. Since then, we have become friends. Friends indeed, to the extent that his family is mine, my family is his. That is how intertwined we've been. Our relationship bordered mainly on friendship. Since I've never been in politics, so the relationship had not taken that dimension. Speaking about somebody you know for over 5 decades, it can take a lifetime. And so I'm just going to be very, very brief. It's on account of him that I visited his village, Falu, when his father died. I went to Lamzao when one of his close relations died. He came to my place when I lost my father, when I lost my mother. Not to talk of occasions when we went for weddings of members of these two families. It was on account of him that I went to this village they call, I think, Tahagula also. That is where Christy comes from when she lost her father, beyond the river in Demse local government. I and other friends like Dr. Haman Walia, and other very close friends. Zwingina has been a true friend. A true friend. And I stuck to him. I stuck with him when the going was good and when the going was bad. He had challenges in life. Many of you know it. He had challenges at the home front, challenges at the political front, challenges health-wise. As a friend, I stood by him. Some other friends stood by him. We advised him. We prayed with him. We counseled him. We supported him. Sometimes we criticized him. And he respected us for everything we told him and said, even if he stood by his decisions. Zwingina, as the last two speakers said here, had a very cerebral mind. He was an intellectual indeed. In 1980, both of us happened to be postgraduate students. He was doing his master's in political science at the University of Ibadan. I was doing my master's in law at the University of Ife. And we both had vehicles, so we were visiting each other at weekends. At one weekend, he invited me to Ibadan, where a public lecture was being delivered by one professor there. And we sat together and attended. After the presentation, comments were asked, and he immediately raised his hand. When Zwingina contributed at that occasion, the ovation that greeted him was more than the one that was made by the presenter of the paper. Some undergraduate students were asking, who is this man? And they say he's from the north. They were shocked that that man had that kind of capacity. That is Zwingina for you. That's what other members here said. He was also a man of humor. If he was here and we were in a mood like this, he would have changed the mood. When my mother died, he was there in the church. I belonged to EQUA, and the EQUA president was there in attendance. The coffin was there. When Zwingina stood to speak, the whole congregation was thrown into laughter. The mood changed completely. That's Zwingina for you. He can make tense situations very, very light-hearted. It was so simple. It was so simple. It was through him I know the president of the Baptist Convention, because he pastored him at Garki, and all weddings involving him, I was there. Zwingina was a very, very caring husband, father, uncle, and community leader. he loved his family so well, particularly his wife and children. This I know as a member of that family. And he could do anything for them. Zwingina also had a very, very concerned heart for the Lungura community. I know the last time he visited Kwande Nungura, I was in his company when we met him, and I knew what he told him there. Incidentally, even in his frail nature, sometime, I think early part of this year, when one of our friends, Eli Gamaliel, passed on, he came. We were there with SGF boss Mustafa, and he spoke in the church. Anything that concerned Guyuk concerned Zwingina. I want to say that we, the Friends, we sincerely appreciate the honor the Adamawa State government did to this man, the family, and to us. We very, very much appreciate it. You have really honored him, and by that you have honored us. We are also honored as a family when I had the privilege of presiding over the first meeting in his house when we constituted the Central Planning Committee. And we decided that his colleagues should play a major role in it. And we were highly honored when the likes of Senator Ken Namani, Wabara, Abubakar Gire, Grace Bent, Mbata, and quite a number of them attended one of the meetings with us and willingly accepted to honor this great man of Nigeria. I wish, on behalf of all the friends that may not have the opportunity to speak here, to say this man left a legacy that from all indications we are seeing the children are taken after. Please keep it up. Pray that the good Lord will sustain all of you, will continue to comfort you. To my best friend, I say, may your soul rest in perfect peace. Rest in the bosom of the Lord until we meet to part no more. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so very much indeed, my Lord, the Honorable Justice Akila Haman, CON, former Chief Judge of Gombe State and Life Bencher, for taking us memory lane and taking us back. I also take in good faith your perfect correction, and may I honorably and most respectfully honor the gracious presence of Reverend Dr. Israel Adelani Akanji, the President of the Baptist Convention. Sir, you're welcome. Now, when Reverend Doctor came in earlier, I had expected some of the protocol people will get to me with his full name so I do not make mistake. Until my Lord came up, my Lord, I am so grateful. Thank you, and thank you indeed. I apologize, Reverend Doctor, that was not deliberate in any way. Thank you, sir. Thank you indeed. Let me now bring another erudite and distinguished son of Adamawa State, a man we are all well pleased with, a man who has represented us in the most erudite way anyone could ask for. He rose from a humble beginning, and his politics go way back. In 1991, for those who may not know, Barrister Boss Mustafa was the gubernatorial aspirant under the People's, not the People's Democratic Party, I wasn't going to say that, sir. The Social Democratic Party, the SDP, a party which he was chairman to, firstly, before he became its gubernatorial aspirant. He lately served as the secretary to the federal government. His CV goes on, and I cannot reel that out. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome this distinguished son of Adamawa, the one, the only, Barrister Boss Gida Mustafa, CFR, as he brings his tribute. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. The governor of Adamawa State, ably represented by the Chief of Staff, Dr. Edgar Amos, the chairman of the occasion, our senior brother, Mr. Jelani, senators of the Federal Republic, both serving and former members of the Federal Executive Council here present, those of the State Executive Council serving and former, the president of the Nigerian Baptist Convention, the family of Senator Dr. Jonathan Silas Zwingina, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press. Tonight, we celebrate the lives and times of Dr. Zwingina. I related with Dr. Zwingina on two levels. One in our political fray in the then Gongola state, and also at the family level. Mama Frama is one of the closest friends that my wife has in this state. So on those two levels, I will speak quite elaborately on the political front. Our path crossed ways with Dr. Zwingina in 1977 at the College of Preliminary Studies, when we had a president who had served one term in the National Association of Gongola Students, and he wanted to return himself. We went prepared and we took him out, and Zwingina became our national president in 1977. In 1978, we had the convention in ABU, and I was a student then in ABU, and it was payback time. Zwingina coordinated as an outgoing president of the Students Association. I made sure that I took over from him as the president of Gongola State Students Union. I can say without any fear of contradiction that Zwingina was one of the architects of the political structure that emerged subsequently in Gongola State, running up to what we have today in Adamawa State. I remember in 1979, he was serving then. I was still a student in ABU. But we all returned home when we realized that if we didn't do something, the election was going to go the way of the MPN. Barde was contesting on the platform of the GMPP, and upon the disqualification of Philip McCain of the UPN, Wilson Sabia stepped into his shoes. As young as we were, we helped the leaders to navigate that process, and we succeeded in asking Reverend Wilson Sabia to step down for Barde, and that caused the alliance that produced the GMPP government in 1979. And it was in promotion of that Godwin Puldu, who was of the UPN, that became the deputy speaker of the House of Assembly, and Paul Wampana was the speaker. And there were about 3 commissioners of the European extraction that became commissioners in Barde's government. Upon the termination, or even before the termination of that dispensation, in 1983, I remember, Zwingina was still in the College of Preliminary Studies as a lecturer. But he was that bold to participate in the selection of the European gubernatorial candidate there. As a matter of fact, if I have not forgotten, he was the returning officer. And he was still lecturing in the CPS. And that was the election or the nomination that produced Wilson Sabia as the European gubernatorial candidate in 1979. At the end of that process, he returned to the CPS. We all went back and began to organize. When he became director of MAMSA in 1987, and the transition program of IBB was unleashed, and we were preparing for local government elections on non-party basis, as lightly stated by the senator who is now the current senator of the Southern Senatorial District. Zwingina was the custodian of the strategies that we used to ensure that those that emerged at the local government were of ethnic nationality extraction all over the local governments. That was how we produced Reverend Dogdinos in Fufore. We produced Isaac Mustafa Fure here in Yola. So it became easy when it was time for us to go to the Constituent Assembly. He was in MAMSA, but he was our chief strategist. And that's why I said the framework of what has transcended all this time to where we are today, as far as the political landscape of this country is concerned, has Zwingina's footprints. Without Zwingina and the architecture of politics that was created, probably we would not have had a Governor Boni Haruna, not to talk about His Excellency Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintri with Professor Caleb Tabwa as his deputy today in Adamawa State. So we owe a lot of gratitude to the work that Zwingina did as far as the political terrain is concerned. He's a man of different parts. Love him or hate him, you would acknowledge the fact that he's a repository of knowledge, of intellect, of strategies. And he took that to the national level when he was DG of the Abiola campaign, because we worked all in the Abiola campaign in 1993. Personally, I would say without Zwingina, probably my political trajectory would have been truncated. Let me give you an example. When it was time to go to the Constituent Assembly in 1988, Zwingina played a major role in ensuring that a contested election here in Yola constituency, not in Hong. He played a major role on the emergence of people like Eli Gamaniel in Guyuk, Tapa Sirimtu in Madagali, and all over the states. His role transcended that. When we returned and started political associations, he was very active, though he was director of MAMSA. But we referred to him whenever we needed some kind of strategies on how to proceed. And when it was time, after IBB decided that there were going to be 2 political parties, the NRC and the SDP, Zwingina was part of the team with Balata Kaya and the rest of them that insisted that I should run for the chairmanship of the party here in Gongola State then. Not Adamawa State. I was the pioneer chairman of the SDP in Gongola State. By the time, as a matter of fact, I had just gotten married. Barely 3 months, I became the chairman of the party in Gongola State, not in Adamawa. And his and others were the ones that put the contraption together and the synergy together to ensure that I emerge. Before I emerged, something happened. As part of the regulation, you needed people to nominate you from all over the state. And I had traveled far and wide across Gongola State, all the way to Gembu, to secure nominators. I went to Maiha. I got a chairman who signed my papers. Upon return, the man later, after a week, came into town. And there were some blocks within the party that wanted a particular candidate. And the same man went and signed the nomination of another chairmanship candidate. And part of the regulation says that once a nominee has double nominations, both parties will be disqualified. Zwingina and late Dr. Sawa, Bitru Sawa, who was NEC commissioner then in Gongola State here, were the two persons that stood for me and ensured that I was not disqualified, because they went through the forms and found out that my form was signed 1 week earlier before the second signatories on a different form. For that reason, they told the military governor then that if I was denied the opportunity to run for that election, there would have been political riot within the city. For that reason, I went to polls. I got well over 1,000 votes, while the preferred candidate scored about 200 and something votes. Part of his intervention. Upon the disqualification of Atiku and Balatakaya in 1991, after all the conflicts, he was part of the group that met and decided that I should run for the governorship under the dispensation of the Social Democratic Party. So my political journey and trajectory to where God has brought me thus far, I cannot ascribe that to only the grace of God, which is fundamental, the favor of God, which is also very important. But men along the way, like Zwingina, had a role to play, and they played it actively to ensure that I got to where I am today. So tonight, as we celebrate this great icon of ours, a political strategist, a man of different shades and parts, his closing remarks should leave us with something. I know Zwingina had a personal relationship with his maker because of the profound comments he made on those steps. As an individual, I said it in Abuja in the church, and I can confirm it here. When Abodene, the military administrator that appointed him, went on leave, Air Vice Marshal John Ode took over, and he was a believer. So we organized an outreach of the full gospel. And I asked him, invite all your Christian commissioners to come. And Zwingina was one of them. Ndonya was another, and a couple of others. And he was the one that was going to preach. And after the sermon, at the outreach, he made an altar call. And Zwingina was one of those that responded to the altar call. So he's received salvation. In my presence, I can attest to that. And precious in the eyes of the Lord is the death of a saint. Adio, our leader, our good friend, our mentor. God bless the family. Your father has left a legacy, and this legacy lives on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please let's put our hands together again for Barrister Boss Mustafa. Before I invite the next person to give us a tribute, does this look like a mournful atmosphere? No, it doesn't. It rather looked like a political lecture where, I understand that the history of nations is but the biography of great men. And that is what we are listening to this morning. Sorry, this evening. May I invite one of our own, Mr. Ibrahim Willie, to speak on behalf of the Lunguda Development Association. Mr. Ibrahim Willie.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Adamawa State, very ably here represented, Chairman of this occasion, and then I'll plead that I should stand on the existing protocol. I am wearing two caps. One, I've been asked to speak on behalf of Lunguda Development Association. I can't say much about that because all that I have to say is on behalf of Lunguda Development Association, I thank you all for saying all that you said concerning Zwingina. I want to assure you that almost everything you said is true about him. Zwingina is like an elephant, if you notice. Everyone who came here said something unique in relation to him, in between him and Zwingina. Somebody spoke about his trunk, somebody spoke about his foot, somebody spoke about his belly, that is what we've been doing here concerning Zwingina. And everyone is right. I want to quickly state something that probably will also legitimize my position as a friend of his. Justice Eman is our head boy when it comes to friends of Zwingina. But I was slightly a year of him, ahead of him in Bauchi GSS, Bauchi Government Secondary School. He came in 1974, and when I had, he graduated in 1974, I had graduated in 1973. We were a little bit naughty when we were in school. Well, let me say the positive side before I say the naughty side. The positive side is that Zwingina and I were both in the Dramatic Society of Bauchi GSS. But I was the runt of the pack. And even now you will notice that I'm the runt of the pack. What that means is that whenever I or any member of the Dramatic Society gets stuck in their recitation of their line, Zwingina will complete it for you. You talk about intelligence, he would cram the entire book and recite it from beginning to end. And there's nothing you can do about that. And Zwingina and I, as I said, we were a bit naughty. We always loved adventure. We would sneak out of school, go to the mountains to chase all kinds of animals. In the process, one day we almost got teared into pieces by baboons. We were chasing a young baboon, hoping to catch one when the alpha baboon saw us. And man, how we escaped like this. You know, we never repeated that. Well, till many years after, our names were still on those mountains because we will etch our names on the tree trunks of those mountains, and then, you know, as the tree grows into it, it brings out the characters very boldly. You notice that during the video, you notice somebody always at this right side of the old films, the black and white films. That is Ibrahim Andrew Elie, myself. I had the privilege of always coming along, as you would see. I have the privilege also of not just staying very close to Zwingina, but somebody mentioned about Barrister Boss Mustafa, His Excellency, mentioned here that Zwingina cleared the way politically for him. He did the same thing for me in 1983. Some of you may well know that in 1983, I won the election to the State House of Assembly here in Gongola State. Thanks to Zwingina, Eli Gamaniel, and the rest of them. They made sure that MPN, you know what MPN could do at that time. Tabula rasa. MPN swept the whole place like there was no other person in contesting. And they will do it by hook, by crook, and by everything in between. So, but there in Chikila constituency, we stood so firm Zwingina, the usual strategist, made sure that nobody came to that place and got away with any shenanigans. To the extent that the governor, the person who won the governorship at that time, Bamanga Tukul, used to ask, what is this with Chikila constituency? That whenever results come from there, they are looking different. Somebody mentioned to him, told him, Your Excellency, sir, if an angel drops today in Chikila constituency, he will vote UPN. And for your information, my victory in Chikila constituency was the only UPN victory in the entire northern Nigeria. Please go and check the records. So that is what Zwingina has helped us to achieve. We are here together. Somebody talked about somebody stepping into somebody's shoes. I was in Maiduguri when he became director of MAMSA in Gongola State. He asked that I should come. I came. Eventually, when he was transferred to Jos and he was leaving MAMSA for his political ambition, I was the one who stepped into his shoes in Jos. So you can see that again, Zwingina was there. Okay. Now let me say very quickly concerning the Lunguda Development Association. LDA all this while has been the brainchild of Zwingina. Of course, when we came in together, the leadership of LDA was our parent, Senator Manasseh Daniel. He was the chairman, and Alhaji Jibril Grema was the secretary, and so on. But we the younger ones, very hot-headed, fresh from school, we thought these people were not. There was this thing that was done. I think it was there was a launching that was done, and when during a subsequent meeting we were asking about what happened to the money, they were telling us, look, we didn't invite you here to peep into the cooking pot. We invited you to put fire under the pot. Stoke the fire under the pot. Don't peep into it. Zwingina didn't take kindly to it. Before you could say Jack Robinson, he has formed another group called Lunguda Community Development Association. Well, thank God we have now dissolved it, and what I'm leading today is Lunguda Development Association. I want to say very solemnly that Senator Professor Jonathan Silas Zwingina, and very solemnly and with a lot of pride, is the gift of the Lunguda nation to Nigeria and to the world. And he has proved that very, very well. He has lived that out very, very effectively. I would not bore you. I have said it already that he is our gift. I have said it that everything you said here is correct. I wrote a letter to him. This is very personal. I wrote a letter to him a few days ago, which I hope to send it through prayer. But I'll read it to you. Dear Jonathan, then a quote followed. A man who has friends must show himself friendly. And there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 24. We used to call you simply Jonathan, but with the passage of time, you complicated the nomenclature with your innumerable achievements and accomplishments, which you garnered as you journeyed through this life. So we became a bit lost as to how to call you. You are a friend. But when you say Jonathan, before, even though he's your friend, sometimes you think you are committing some crime. Because this man is, you have simplified the thing too much. So somebody did it very well, tried to bring everything together when they call him now Senator Professor Jonathan Silas Zwingina, using the ultimate achievement. Yet all those achievements and accomplishments did not phase your friendly disposition to others, both high and low. That is why you have many friends, as can be seen in the mammoth crowd that has come today to bid you farewell. For me, you have been more than a friend because you have stuck closer than a brother. Your presence in my life has been a rock of unwavering support and loyalty. Your steadfast friendship all through the years has been a source of strength and encouragement to me. Words can scarcely capture the depth of my gratitude and admiration of you. But you have answered the inevitable call of the Almighty to depart this temporal world to your eternal home. Someone has said that there are times in our life experiences, when human counsel or sympathy or religious ordinances fail to comfort us. For me, this is one of those times. I do not expect everyone to understand my predicament, but I'm consoled that you understand it. Best of all, the God we both knew and served understands. To the family, I say, he who has been with you in 6 troubles, he will not forsake you in this 7th trouble. So shall it be. Adieu, my friend. Rest well with our Lord Jesus Christ from all your labors until we come and meet to part no more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Ibrahim Waliye, former Secretary to the State Government of Adamawa State. Indeed, a distinguished son of Adamawa State. Tonight sounds to some of us who are students of politics, contemporary politics, like a classroom. We're like in a learning curve, learning so much about the process, the politics of the then Gongola State and Adamawa from its inception to the moment in which we have found ourselves, and for which I, in particular, I am truly grateful. Thank you very much, sirs. When icons speak, all you say is, I concur. Sirs, I concur with all the points you've made. Thank you indeed so very much. And now, at certain point, we will take a small musical interlude, God's Will. One of the best singers this nation has produced. A self-taught musical icon, God's Will at some point come to give us a musical interlude. He's a gospel musical icon that this nation is celebrating every day and every now. But before he comes, let me bring to the stage former dad. I was going to call you, sir, and I noticed you were stepping out. Can we speak before you step out? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Admin, next time you want to call Oga, confirm with me first. Thank you. Thank you. And it is with profound honor that I invite another erudite son of Adamawa State, a man who has also been there, done that. A teacher of teachers, a teacher par excellence. He was former Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice of Adamawa State right during the military era. He rose and became a special aide to President Obasanjo on legal matters. He was principal special assistant and did so many other things. Recently, he was the chief of staff to His Excellency, the Governor of Adamawa State, currently the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council, Adamawa State University. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Professor Maxwell Gidado, S-A-N-O-O-N, Mosanin Ganye, and so many other titles. I may just have to keep going.
Thank you, Leader. Your Excellency, my boss, Right Honorable Amadou Umaru Fintiri, ably here represented by my able successor, Dr. Edgar Amos Sunday, the chairman of this occasion, distinguished senators serving and non-serving, beloved family of our departed brother, friend, distinguished Senator Dr. Silas Jonathan Zwingina. My fellow Adamawans, I am privileged to be given this opportunity once again, as I did in Abuja for the nights of tributes we had for our departed friend. To me, Dr. Zwingina was a senior brother, a colleague, and my senator, and by extension, the senator that represented the chamber people as well. So I will also be talking about the late Senator Zwingina in my capacity as one of the former commissioners that served under the administration of the late Police Commissioner Mustafa Ismail in 1995 to 1997. We were the young or the baby commissioners at that time. In 1995, I was 35 years, and the late Senator Zwingina, who was our prefect on that executive council, in a sense that he was reappointed by our military administrator after the first appointment as Commissioner of Education by Gregory Agbonini. So it is true, all that had been said here about the late Senator Zwingina. He was really an epitome of intellectualism. He exhibited it. He exhibited it on the council. As a matter of fact, each time Zwingina was to present a memo, the Milad, the military administrator, would call me to help him analyze this memo very well before any action is taken on that memo, because he found the papers, to be too powerfully loaded. And secondly, I want also end this tribute by also telling you about one fact that still sticks to my memory anytime the mention of our sojourn with the late Dr. Zwingina on the Adamawa State Executive Council at that time. Now, as I said, we were very young and inexperienced when we came on, especially in that early 1995, before we learned on the ropes. And the practice in the government was that when the chief executive is coming back, particularly here in Adamawa, the information division or section would send you notice round telling you that His Excellency is due to arrive at the airport by 4 p.m. And we were all supposed to be there by 3 to wait for the arrival of His Excellency. So we, the younger ones, people like Abubakar Jijua and I, will be there sometimes by 2:30 to wait for this flight that will be landing at 4. And lo and behold, we will look around and we won't see Senator Zwingina. I will always wonder, why he doesn't come on time like we do. But as soon as, we noticed, or we noted him with his handbag, one black handbag that he was always, holding. So as soon as he opened the door and, came in to the waiting room, you would just see the aircraft land. So we were wondering, how come, that it's always when he lands, or when he comes in, that this aircraft lands. So I had to get up. I was one of those ones that, he was always fond of. So I went to him. I said, Honorable Commissioner, how do you get this thing? We've been here for almost 1.5 hours waiting for the arrival of His Excellency. But you is only when you barge in, the next thing is we see this aircraft land. He said, you guys, are just baby commissioners. I do speak to the control tower before I leave my house. So the control tower will tell me estimated time of arrival is 5:04, or maybe 5 minutes past 4, and that is when he will come. So in a nutshell, this was the kind of person that we were privileged, to work with. And we picked a lot, from him. And particularly when he became a senator thereafter. So we still jailed, together in Abuja. Now, what I would want to part here with us and to say about Zwingina is the fact that he lived a life that icons and legends are known to live. It is a truism. And as the popular saying goes, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Vox populi, vox Dei. We are proud to have had a son and a legend and an icon that came out of the sons and at these times. To us in the Chamber Nation too, I would wish, on behalf of the CCDA, the Chamber Cultural Development Association, to extend our condolences to the bereaved family. May the soul of the departed, late Senator Zwingina, rest in perfect peace. May the life and times of Zwingina be lessons and be a picture that we can look at and see the way life is supposed to be lived from start to finish, as was exhibited on the video. To the family, be consoled. This is a celebration of life for your departed father and husband. You have no cause to mourn much, because for all that you have had here, there are testaments. Cabra, as the head of the family, you have to take on this challenge, take on this gauntlet. These good legacies your father has left behind. It is my prayer that we will continue to see the Zwinginas shine as their father did. Adieu, Senator Zwingina. Good night, Senator Zwingina. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's put our hands together again. Thank you. At one time I was introducing Senator Zwingina at an event, and I mistakenly said former Senator Zwingina. He said, Malik, there is no former senator. He's a serving or non-serving senator. So no doubt Zwingina was one of the finest seminal minds Lunguda Nation has produced to the world. May I invite, his former aides are here, So I'm going to invite one of them, Pastor Kinu Kabirwa Tunzala Nungrea, to speak on their behalf. Let's put our hands together for him. He's a pastor of the Restorers of the Earth.
His Excellency, the Governor of Adamawa State, ably represented here by his Chief of Staff, the Chairman of this occasion. Permit me please to stand on the already established protocols. I don't know where to start from, but what a privilege to stand before this mighty men. I call you guys mighty. This class today. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, everybody that is also seated right here. I don't think I'm beginning to look for, I'm not somebody that I lack words to say. But you know, standing here today and listening, I followed the night of tributes, the one that took place in Abuja, and I watched it from beginning to the end. And I was listening to the description of my boss, my Oga, and when I sat back there and looked behind, and I saw a father, a grandfather, a friend, an uncle, a Christian, Nigerian, husband. Well, I didn't see boss, and I want to add boss to that. Right on my left hand and on my right hand as well are just representative of those of us who worked with him. But I'm going to speak from my angles of meeting and having served under this distinguished personality. But right while I was seated there, something just hit me. And I said, if we live here without a thought that I have and I want to pass through to His Excellency, represented here. I think living here, from what the MC said, is for us to have maybe a center for democratic and good governance. I mean, in the honor of our late senator, our father and our uncle in this place. I've heard the Honorable Minister of Information. I followed his first speech and what he said here today, very profound, about the need for us to have people that can stand in the gap and raise other generation. I'm probably not the right person to say that right now. We worked with him, and right on this table are people who are classmates, friends, childhood friends, people they grew together. We collected his money. So I can tell you that we worked for him as staff. I have right here Handeke. This is Mundi Musa, now a PAMSEC with the state government here. I'm just here, all of them standing here. And I'm saying that today, we are standing honestly to thank everybody here. Let me write on the scholarship of our LDA president what he said around here. I'm speaking first and foremost from an angle that I know him as a boss. And he's a trailblazer. He's a mind molder. He was my lecturer and our lecturer as well. So I can talk from the fact that when we were in school in CPS, I came from the South, and that was one lecturer we had in class that never came with notebook. And each time he came there, where he started his lecture with his notes, the dots he stopped at, that's how he lives it. When he comes to the class the next day, all you hear is, you are writing, and he continues from there. So we never got back to, we didn't know how, they were never conflicting notes at all at any point in time. But no, as a boss, I was privileged to hang around him since '93 in Lagos. I was a young man working, and so AVM Batner came around. I think they had a discussion, and he said, there's a young man here in Lagos. I was head of corporate and trade finance then, and Richard Finance and Securities. And so that's how I joined him, and I needed to look at this business angle to work with him and work for him. You know, let me tell you, when I say he's a trailblazer, I had an opportunity to sit as a general manager of a company that had Isiaka Adeleke, S.O. Babalola, the late Ibrahim Abubakar Rimi, and then it was an organization that we put together with a technical firm from Canada, and I was meant to handle the entire communication business for Nigeria 95. The hosting FIFA then, we had set everything in place, and I was the youngest person on the seat. I said that to say this: he is somebody who will push you and wants to see your growth physically. I had also the opportunity to work with Cabra. He allows you, even his children, for you to rise up and be independent in what you want to do. He's never somebody who influenced you or wanted to fix you in a mold. And we haven't worked with him, I know that closely. I'll give you one instance. I think one of our elders here spoke about his sense of humor. One time I was in the house, I also lived with him in the house in number 4 Kudet Street in Adeni Jones. And so he needed to eat food. I think he sent a staff from the office to come and prepare one soup. So the staff prepared the soup. I think it was one powerful soup. And so when he came in the evening, he ate the food. He enjoyed the food. So the next day, he left the office. I think the family can attest to the fact that he's not somebody who eats outside. He's always coming back to eat food at home. So when he came, the next day he called me, Kinu. I said, sir, Zokamana Abinchi. I said, sir, Banya Abinchi. But I was dodging. Because if he discovers that I know how to cook, I'll be in trouble. So he now called one Henry in Gurigon's staff. We're next door neighbor. And so the chap cooked the food and kept the food for us. And so when he came, he opened the pot of soup. He said, Kinu Zonan. I came. He said, what is this? I said, they are perewunku. They are small snails. And the big one is inside. He said, Kwadi. He said, that day he made sure that the entire pot and everything left his house. He said, that's how people die. We didn't know. But I said, sir, but you ate the food that evening. It was fun. He said, he ate it later. That's how we handed over the pot of that soup to Erion Gregor. You know, when I was getting married, he was a father. He came for my wedding with Auntie Christy. Then we had already rounded up the reception. And he said, okay, come to the house. And he hosted us, just to tell you how family-like he is. He related very closely with us as aides. I mean, I'm sure if I can give you guys the opportunity to talk it up from there. You know, you can get from that. And one day I went at his office. Then I was in Lagos and he was a senator. So he had this true iPhone that was ringing. The ringtone was unique. And I came with my gra-gra. I had a similar phone. So when my phone rang, he went for his phone. When he saw that it was the same phone, he said, "Hey, Kashewenka." I said, yes, sir. I didn't pick the phone present. And I never got his presence with that phone again. Because he was like, why am I using the kind of phone that he is using? He was very jovial. He was lively. And I totally agree with what the elder said here. If he sat in this place, we'll all be laughing. He's an enigma. That's the way I can describe him here. And like we all said, I think my LDA president said it. It's like the saying in Igbo language that when 3 blind men went to touch an elephant, and each one was describing the elephant from the angle that he touched the elephant. And I totally agree with that, saying that it's not somebody you can describe. It's not tetracycline capsule that you can package in one capsule and swallow. But we have the privilege. We have worked with him. I'm sorry I took the time. You were meant to give me covering fire. We're glad our paths crossed. We're glad God brought us his way. I can't talk about his impact. I mean, one time he said, anything you can't define, you can't confront. And anything you can't confront, you can't defeat. And that's the kind of energy he has put into us. And all of us, by the grace of God, we are standing today because our path crossed with this man. Thank you so very much.
Sorry, please. On his high sense of humor, one day we were going to the National Assembly from Apo. So we stopped by a junction, and then he called those people selling recharge cards. You know, then the highest denomination was 1,005. So he bought 10 for, I think, 15,000. So I was seated with him at the back of the Prado Jeep. Sayebani, he said, scratch. So I scratched one. And then, fortunate enough for me, there was network problem then. 1,005, I scratched, I gave him. Yeah, loading. Said, hey, these people, they are selling fake scratch card. Yeah, then the glass, he threw it outside. Scratch another one, I scratched. I say, Your Excellency, because I call him Your Excellency. He scratched, I scratched, I gave him. They had sugar, yagang beyiba, Yeah, done the glass, Your Excellency, give me. So I kept it. I scratched the whole 9. Duka Beshigawa. Stupid people. Why? After we went to the National Assembly, in the evening, I entered the whole 9. Duka Sunshiga, and you can imagine a pupil engineer then with almost 10,000 naira recharge card. Thank you.
I can guess what you did with that whole data, engineer. I'm sure you were calling your girlfriends. Oh, wait, sorry. Did I say that? Thank you very much. And thank you very much indeed. And now, before I get to invite, we are getting close to the finish, to the close of this event. The chairman of the occasion just called my attention to the fact that we have stayed beyond what we should. I will apologize to those who we might not be able to call you eventually to speak. There will be another opportunity tomorrow in Guyuk, and thereafter there will be so many other opportunities to speak. Remember, I mentioned earlier that if we're given the whole day to speak about the lives and times of the distinguished Senator Jonathan Silas Zwingina, we will not still finish. So I thank you very much for your understanding. Brother, God's will, are you ready? Give us a song, and thereafter I'll welcome, on behalf of the church entirely, Reverend Dr. Israel Adelani Akanji. But before then, I would like Brother... Okay, sir. Go ahead, Gospel.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are God like no other. I've known you as a father, and I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. Oh, all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good, yeah. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, all my life you have the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother God's Will. Brother God's Will have a song he calls Angwalangwalangwalang. In case you've not heard and listened to that song, you need to listen to that song. It is practically the story of his life. Thank you, and thank you very much. And at this point, it is with profound honor that I now invite our father, the president of the Nigerian Baptist Convention, on behalf of the church, Reverend Dr. Israel Adelani Akanji, as he brings the word. Please put your hands together for him.
MC, thank you very much. We want to respectfully again stand on the existing protocols to thank you all for this privilege for us to come. We have come as people of the Baptist Church in Nigeria. So the pastor of the church, Reverend Tom Takwatore, say something.
Good evening, everybody. One of the things that Senator Zwingina did for us was to make us lazy with protocols. When we had visitors, we didn't have to bother as to what to say, how to address them. What we did was we called on Senator Zwingina, and he knew what to say, the right words, the right time. He was just one who spoke, an intelligent man. He was also one who connected people together. I don't know how he did it, but he was so proud of us, his pastors. I'm a village boy, but through this connecting spirit, I've been able to meet with some great leaders of our nation. Senator Zwingina was simple, and like we're told, he had this bag he just carried with him everywhere he went. And in church, he was also a simple person. You could approach him. And now, as a pastor, if you're preaching where you had Senator Zwingina as one of your members, you have to be prepared. And lots of times after the service, when he has the opportunity to talk with you, say, Pastor, that was a good sermon. Well, we thank God for his life. And I'm so thankful that Senator Zwingina brought us to his life, brought us to the family, and brought us to Adamawa, and brought us to Guyuk and to the Lunguda community. We thank God and we celebrate him.
Thank you. Dr. Joel Manzo is the head of all the Baptists in our conference here, which we still call Gongola Baptist Conference. So he wants to say what?
I greet you all in Jesus' name. I welcome my president of the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And that is the reason why I've come here, because I'm representing him here in Gongola Baptist Conference. And as he stands to speak to us, I will stand by his side. The Lord will continue to be with you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Much time has been spent. Those of us who watched the documentary, we could see the conclusion of all things. That Senator Zwingina was saying if in any way he had offended anybody, he was asking for forgiveness. And he was telling us that if anybody offended him, he himself had forgiven. And that is the Spirit of God, the Spirit of Christ. Jesus came to the world that we might all be forgiven of our sins. For somebody to ask forgiveness of men, that means he has asked forgiveness of God. And God has forgiven. So I will conclude with the words of 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 7 and 8, where Paul said, and we're saying that concerning Senator Zwingina, I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith, and now there awaits me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord will give not only to me,